Hello, I'm Cameron Walker and you're watching GBN Royal, and today we're diving into a heartwarming story about the Princess of Wales and her lifelong commitment to early childhood development. And we have a very special guest coming up, so let's get to it. Now, Catherine has long been an advocate for the importance of early childhood. In March 2023, she launched the Royal Foundation Business Task Force for Early Childhood. Now, this initiative aims to support parents and children during the crucial early years of a child's life. What research has found is if a child has poor start in life, it means they are far more likely when they get into adulthood to have big problems like addiction or mental health issues. Anyway, fast forward to now, and the initiative has garnered support from major UK companies. Lego, for example, has donated educational sets to preschool groups. IKEA has provided goods to baby banks, and Iceland Supermarket has introduced a toddler meal range supporting Alderhay Children's Hospital. Deloitte as well, they have funded over 1,300 early years teachers and enhanced parental leave benefits for their staff. And all of these companies are part of the Princess's task force, all of them, of course, private sector. And Deloitte in particular has changed its parental policies, giving all parents 26 weeks full pay. So that means both mothers and fathers. So we're joined now by Alex Lloyd-Hunter, the co-founder of The Dad Shift, a group campaigning for a total rethink of paternity leave in the UK. Alex, welcome to GB News, first of all. So this is quite a big moment for your campaign, potentially, isn't it? What was your initial reaction when you heard that the Princess of Wales is kind of stepping in on this issue and persuading a massive company like Deloitte to change their paternity leave schemes?
Yeah, really pleased. I hadn't expected it, but delighted that someone with her prominence and stature is stepping up and showing real leadership on this. And I think it speaks to the extent to which there is really widespread support for improving paternity leave across society. So yeah, delighted to see it.
So why did you decide to co-found the Dad Shift in the first place? What issues did you find were happening?
So I have a 3-year-old son myself, and I was always very keen that I would be a kind of hands-on, active dad when he was born. That's something that's always been important to me because I saw when I was younger, my father didn't really have the opportunity. Like a lot of men of his generation, he worked very long hours, stressful job, and ended up kind of in the periphery of the family, not particularly involved in looking after us. So when we had my son, I then came up against all the barriers that exist in our system, even though these days most families want fathers to be more involved. There's paternity leave, there's incredibly expensive childcare, there's lack of flexible working options, and that makes it so that a lot of families get forced into breadwinner homemaker roles, whether or not that's actually what they want. And the more I looked into it, the more paternity leave is clearly one of the biggest barriers there, and we are miles behind it on others, miles behind other countries on it. We have the worst actually paternity leave in Europe, 2 weeks, less than half the minimum wage, and it's well overdue that improves.
Gosh, and you, of course, were outside Buckingham Palace, I believe. Was it last week with quite an eye-catching display? Can you tell us what kind of message you were trying to get across there?
Sure. So last week we had 120 supporters all across the country, from MPs to members of the public, hanging up baby grow spelling 2 weeks isn't enough to make the point that our 2 weeks of paternity leave is not enough. And we had people in all sorts of places, from the Angel of the North to the White Cliffs of Dover. And one of those locations was just down the Mall outside Buckingham Palace. So I'm not sure if that's what the Princess of Wales saw and decided to speak out about this. Sounds like she's been working on it for a long time, but it's great timing.
Yeah, she certainly has been working on it for a long time. But as you say, it is incredibly good timing, and obviously Buckingham Palace as the backdrop potentially was in her favour in terms of the royal family. But let's talk numbers. Of course, you mentioned that 2 weeks statutory pay isn't enough in your opinion. How much do dads struggle with just having 2 weeks paid paternity pay? What can they realistically do within that 2 weeks, and how would it be improved by having more paid leave to look after, the first few months of a child's life?
So dads struggle a lot, and it's important to say it's not just dads who struggle with this. Mums do as well. Non-birthing parents also get paternity leave, not just dads. And it is bad for kids as well. What it means is that, well, for a start, about a third of fathers can't take any paternity leave at all. They can't afford it. They go back to work the next day. If you're self-employed, you get absolutely nothing. You don't work, you don't get paid. So they particularly find this difficult. And what it means is that mothers get left without support very early on. A lot of the time, they're still recovering from the birth. They may have had a C-section, which takes 60 weeks to recover, and then they're left on their own after just 2. And we've heard stories from mothers who say, I literally ripped my stitches from my C-section because I had no help and I had to do it on my own, and I got injured. For fathers, they then have no time to bond with the baby. Really, they're just getting their feet on the ground, working out what this new reality is. And they're back to work. They're sleep deprived. They can't work at 100%, but they're expected to. And so what we see is that their mental health really suffers often. We did research last week with Movember that found that 45% of new fathers experience multiple symptoms of postnatal depression. And finally, for kids themselves, loads of clear evidence that if you have a strong relationship with your father who's more involved in your life, you grow up to be happier and more productive, you do better at school. And we've seen with all the conversation around adolescence recently just how important it is for fathers to have their kids, for kids to have their fathers playing a big role in their lives. But we're making that really difficult to do as a society at the moment, and paternity leave is one of the big things.
Yeah. And of course, the princess can only go so far because she's a royal, not a politician. She can't be seen to be involved in party politics. And she's managed to persuade Deloitte, a private sector company. But in your opinion, what should the government be doing in order to make this easier for dads in particular, or parents in general?
So we need paternity leave to be longer and better paid. At a bare minimum, it should be 6 weeks at 90%. That's what mothers get in the first part of maternity leave. That would still be below the average in Europe, which is 8 weeks at full pay, but it'd be a massive step forward from where we are now. And crucially, self-employed people need to be included as well. They have exactly the same needs around paternity leave, but at the moment they're completely left out.
And the Princess of Wales has clearly had a bit of influence in getting this issue talked about in the media. What do you think it helps having a member of the royal family such as Princess of Wales champion a cause like this in terms of getting it into the public conversation and perhaps shifting that political needle, even if she isn't directly involved in politics herself?
I think so, absolutely. It's really useful to have different voices out there speaking about this. And the Princess of Wales is someone that a lot of people look up to. She does a lot of good work. She does a lot to highlight how important the first few years of a child's life is. And so I think it speaks volumes that she has chosen to focus on this and to make a point around this, and speaks to how important it is. And I hope there are people who perhaps haven't engaged with the issue so far who might listen and take a second look as they've heard that the Princess of Wales is out there talking about it now.
Okay, well, watch this space. Alex Lloyd Hunter, thank you so much for speaking to me, co-founder of the Dad Shift. Now, the Princess of Wales's dedication to early childhood development appears to be making a bit of a tangible difference in the private sector, but of course, it's up to the government really to change policy, and the Princess of Wales cannot be seen to be going into the political sphere as a member of the royal family. So will all of this talk make any difference? Will the Princess of Wales's soft power influence make a hard political influence later down the line? Well, let's see. Watch this space. This has been Cameron Walker for GBN Royal. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more.